PulpMX Network production.
EVS Sports brings you a cheeky Brit and an American YouTube racing sensation weekly on the LVK More Than Moto podcast. Here's your hosts, Phillips and Kellen Brauer.
Welcome back, everybody, to the EVS Sports LVK More Than Moto podcast. I'm Kellen Brauer from MotoOnline.com. Phillips from Vital MX. Another remote show. Lewis, you are still hanging out at the house of Max Anstey. How are you, first of all? How are things with Lewis Phillips?
I'm okay, Kellen. As good as you can be in the current climate. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Not the weekend you and your guy expected. Was it a?
Well, we had a great weekend, Kellen.
Well, I mean the man in which the house you currently reside.
Sorry.
How was the attitude? How was the somberness on Sunday?
We're on to Anaheim 1 2025.
All right, fair enough. This is your first time to Southwick, though. I kind of wanted to just quickly ask you, and we'll have a little discussion about this in a minute. But what did you think of the facility, the area? Have you been to Boston before, or no? Had you ever been to Massachusetts?
Yeah, I did the Supercross in Boston, but I felt like different airport, different area all around. Weird area, like being in a storybook for children.
Just because there's the neighborhood is still right there, and there's a school, and
just there's little figurines everywhere.
Oh yeah.
Farmhouses, it's all very farmhouse storybook sort of vibe, but it's fine.
I think you're starting to get into the crux of what American motocross is and nationals, because the next few rounds.
This was my first obscure outdoor.
Well, the next few rounds for sure. By the time we get to Washougal, we're kind of more back in civilization, but Redbud and Millville are kind of middle of nowhere. So I'm excited to see your reaction to basically being in the middle of nowhere the next 2 weeks.
It's crazy. Millville, Washougal, and then we're pretty much done.
I know, it goes pretty fast. 11 rounds goes by a lot faster than 17 rounds of Supercross, it feels like. All right, so we are going to get into our topics today. We got 6 fun ones here, a couple. One of them's a fan topic. A couple are just some non-moto ones that we came up with. But before we do that, big shout out to EVS Sports. Experience the pinnacle of knee protection and injury prevention with the EVS Web Eclipse knee brace. For over 39 years, EVS has relentlessly honed their engineering expertise, consistently delivering award-winning knee braces. This legacy of excellence is embedded in every facet of the new Web Eclipse, which represents the culmination of their tireless dedication to innovation and rider safety. Use code LVK30 to save 30% off today. Also, thank you to Namura, the leading provider of engine components for motocross, ATV, UTV, and personal watercraft for over 2 decades. Namura has been the preferred choice for premium and dependable engine components for more than 20 years. Whether you're restoring your vintage bike, rebuilding your four-wheeler, or upgrading your new 450 race motor, Namura has you covered. Our extensive line of cast and forged pistons, connecting rods, gasket kits, engine valves, and soon cylinder kits that enhance your engine's performance. Keep an eye out for our new and innovative products in 2024 and beyond, and stay up to date by following us on Instagram at Namura_technologies. And also thank you to Racetech. They'll bring us a fan topic. It's a moto fan topic today as well. For 40 years, Racetech has been supplying the motorcycle industry with high-quality suspension components made right here in the USA. For modern and vintage, Racetech is your go-to source for suspension performance. All right, let's get into our first topic. Lewis, this is your guy. So we're just going to kind of open-ended discuss your guy, because Chase Sexton doesn't have an ideal first moto at Southwick and was perhaps on his way to a not ideal second moto at Southwick. And then like a light switch, everything changed. Halfway through the moto, he figured it out. He ran lap times that were unbelievable for what the track was like at that stage of the moto, and wins the second moto. It's not the overall win, but are we back? Is Chase Sexton back again?
Did he ever go anywhere, Kellen?
In the first motos, yes. He's gone a few places in the first motos.
Yeah, that's bizarre, and that's my biggest takeaway with Chase so far this year. Second motos have been phenomenal speed-wise. Fox Raceway, fastest rider in the second moto. Hangtown Moto 2 speaks for itself. Thunder Valley second moto, for a brief period there, it was unbelievable. High Point second moto, quite clear. And then Southwick second moto, again, no explanation needed. So what is that? Is that a example of new bike, new team, learning in the first moto, making progress by the time the second moto starts? Perhaps. What I lean to is this is an example of Chase being so strong, so fit, that when the track gets rough, he can manhandle the bike to overcome some potential issues and really drive home his skill, strength, technique to overcome anything. That's what I lean to. If you watch him in the sand at Southwick, Moto 2, he really manhandled and muscled that bike around. And I think that's where you see him shine. That's where he unlocks something.
Yeah, one thing I took away from this weekend, and I think he said it in the press conference, is that he, at the last couple rounds, Thunder Valley, High Point for sure, it was bike related. Like he changed something on the bike in the second moto. At High Point, felt more comfortable, rode better. This week he said they did do a little bit of changes to the bike in between motos, but he said, honestly, I just needed to ride the track better. I wasn't riding the track well enough the way it should be ridden. I wasn't looking at the lines correctly, all that stuff like that. And he even mentally clicked that in the second moto, changed up his lines, found different things that worked, and started riding better. So is that something where in the past few weeks, mentally he hadn't found that click and finally he did this weekend? Or do you think that's been happening, but the mistakes have also been coming through as well?
Yeah, no, it's been a pattern. The second motos have been really good. It's just a case of this week it came together in the second moto.
I just mean with, he said bike setup the last couple weeks. This week he said it's on me. So is that like, have we made progress then? Because now he's taking the mental step of like, okay, this is something that I need to fix within myself a little bit in these motos.
I think with sand, there's maybe more of a conscious decision that you need to make in order to succeed and ride it the way it's supposed to be ridden. So maybe that played into it, but I still don't believe it strays too much from what we've seen thus far.
Okay, give me a ranking. We've gone these 5 second moto performances thus far. Of the 5 second motos Chase Sexton has put in, where does Southwick fall, and how would you order them in terms of how good he was in all of them?
Hangtown, Southwick, Parlour, Thunder Valley, High Point. Boom.
Really? You would put High Point last?
I liked those first 2 laps or whatever it was of Thunder Valley. That was quite, like, the first, it may not have even been 2 laps. Was it a lap?
Ish. I mean, he passed Jay Coop or tried at least on the 3rd lap. Like coming to the flag at the end of the 3rd lap?
Whatever it was before the crash, it gave me like Hangtown vibes. I was like, oh, this is spicy. So that just lives in my mind. And I wasn't at High Point, so maybe it's a little bit of, being there in person favoritism. But yeah, that's my rankings. Don't try and change me, Kellen.
I'm just saying. I think for me, I would maybe put High Point 3rd-ish and Fox last. Hangtown, Southwick, High Point, Thunder Valley, Fox.
Fox, he was really good.
He was really good, but it was tough for me to compare because he came from so far back in the first moto and looked kind of fatigued, honestly, that the second moto was just like, okay, clean slate. Like I didn't even have anything to compare it to. And yes, he was on Jet and Hunter and that was a good fight and all that. But I feel like he rose to a different level at High Point. I feel like he was way better than he was in the first moto at Thunder Valley in the second, at least for those 3 laps. And then obviously Hangtown and Southwick was amazing. He won them. So I have to put them first and second. I would put High Point because he almost won it 3rd. And then who knows behind that? I guess you could toss it up Thunder Valley and Fox. I just don't think that you can put those above what he was doing at High Point, going from 40 seconds down to probably going to win, almost still won it anyway with a crash.
Yeah, so we're looking at it differently because you're really leaning on like you're not judging the second motos. You're judging the transformation from one moto to the other.
Yeah, sure. I guess so.
Me by telling me to rank it in one way, and then going, well, you're wrong because we're going to rank it this way instead.
Okay, I apologize. Then yes, strictly on motos alone, I think your ranking is fair. Another thing that I wanted to bring up in this topic is obviously he is really having to probably push this bike to its limit to ride at the pace that the Lawrences have given thus far. They are clear and away the fastest riders in the field. I know AP was pretty close in the second moto this past weekend, but otherwise they're putting 30, 40 seconds on everybody every week. If you think back to 2022 and his fights with Eli Tomac, does this feel the same? Does it feel better version of Chase Sexton? Like, where are you at in that realm?
Honestly, I don't know. And that is my final answer.
Okay.
In some ways, I feel like it looks faster, but that's also because I feel like on the KTM, Chase looks more dynamic. Would you agree?
Like, you mean in terms of the Honda, it was on or off, but this
No, dynamic and riding style and stuff. It visually looks more in outdoors. It looks faster. There's more movement, so it's like more like eye catching. Whereas I feel like outdoors on the Honda, he was like really solid, like rock solid. Not in performance, in terms of like stature on the bike.
But do you think he? Okay, I get what you're saying, but
I'm just talking optics.
No. But optics, I think 2022 Chase Sexton, and I'm trying to eliminate Jet and Tomac from my viewpoint of this, because 2022 going up against Tomac, everyone was like, Chase is the smoothest rider. He's got amazing technique. He's so balanced on the bike, etc., etc. Then he has to go up against Jet in 2023, and it's switched. Chase is rugged. He's aggressive. Jet's the smooth one. He's the one bouncing through the corners. So now on a KTM, are you leaning more back towards the Chase is really smooth and complete?
When did we go away from that?
I'm saying because the aesthetics everyone was talking about last year is that Jet is the smooth one versus Chase is more aggressive and rugged. But you're saying he's a little bit more what? Smooth or aggressive now?
He's the same he's always been. I don't think anyone... I guess people maybe said that Jet was more smooth last year, or whatever you want to say, whatever version of words you used. But I don't think that changes your viewpoint on how Chase is in an isolated just Chase conversation. Yes, you can say Jet maybe more smooth and more elegant, but that doesn't change. Chase didn't change the way he rode. Again, you're doing a comparison thing where you're saying that Chase changed. Chase didn't change. What changed is you were comparing him against a different rider.
No, you said Chase changed. You were the one that just said you feel he's more of a complete rider on the KTM. And that
I never said that. I said dynamic.
Dynamic. Sorry.
Complete infers that I was saying he was worse on a Honda.
No. Dynamic on a KTM. So I'm asking you, does this dynamic think of you as Chase as a more smooth rider, aggressive rider, balanced rider? Like, where is this dynamic that you're
he
pulling?
Looks more aggressive on the KTM.
More aggressive on the KTM.
Has to be, I think.
Okay,
but not by much. I still think he's the same rider. Like, yeah. I'm talking by like 0.1%. Like really, I'm talking about the most minor of details.
Right.
Drastic difference.
I don't want to go too long on this topic, but on Sunday, you and I were in a group chat where the census was we can't figure out Chase anymore. Like it's quite the enigma. Where are you moving forward with Chase? Like, are we gonna figure out first motos? Is he just the second moto guy now? Which is a thing. Like, some guys are just better in second motos, and that's fair. But is he going to figure this out, or are we just back to this trend of not being able to figure it out between the motos?
I feel like Redbud should be a good point for him to like find some even keel across both motos. I do believe.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I agree. Like, I think that these next couple rounds are more Chase type of tracks, I would say. Like, Southwick is such an outlier that I can't really make a determination off of that. But at High Point, I was confused that it wasn't more consistent between the two motos. I agree with you. I think Redbud, he'll be more on it in the first moto. I think he'll probably win the second moto at Redbud, maybe the overall. And yeah, I agree. I think he's going to get a little bit better in these next few weeks, which hopefully is the case because this championship fight is a hell of a lot of fun. 3 points between these guys so far. All right, let's get into our second topic, though. Like I said, this is your first time at Southwick, and you've seen the gamut of sand tracks around the world. You've been to Valkenswaard. You've been to Lierop, I assume, too?
Yep.
And you've been to Lommel. Where does Southwick fall on the sand track scale? Because we always ask this question of, is it a true sand track compared to the GP tracks? Is it actually a sand track at all compared to GP tracks? It's obviously the sandiest track that the US riders race, but now that you've seen it in person, how do you grade it?
Well, Kellen, as we've discussed pre-show, this is a very cut and dry topic. We're not going to drag this one out to the full 7 minutes because really just in and out on this one. It is Kegum's.
It is Kegum's.
It is Kegum.
Okay.
It's Kegum. It's not Lommel, it's not Valkenswaard, and it's not Lierop. And Kellen, I feel like you may ask me to rank the sand tracks. And if you want me to do that, then I'll say Lierop, Lommel, Valkenswaard, Arnhem, really split the difference with Kegums and Southwick, but I'll put Southwick first because of the nature of the layout.
Okay. With Southwick versus Kegums specifically, though, is it literally just like the actual sand is the same? You're saying like the feeling of walking on it and everything is quite similar?
Oh, it's just the way the deepness, the hard base, the way it forms. It's Kegums. It's really Kegums.
Is the sentiment from riders in GPs that Kegums is not a sand track? Like, have you ever heard that?
Kegums is a sand track,
okay,
but it's not. It's not like oh, we need to go and train at Lommel for the week before Kegums. It's like not a big deal at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a track, you know. No one's like, oh god, it's Kegums this weekend. Buckle up, here we go. You know, it's just like
I noticed you did not put Real Asardo on that list. So you would say Real is not a sandy. Oh, so where is that?
Put that third behind Lommel,
but ahead of Arnhem. Or ahead of Valkenswaard and Arnhem too, is what you'd say. So then Southwick would fall to like 6-ish on the list.
Yep. And then there's obviously other tracks that are sandier.
We're talking about ones that have been raced on the GP or US schedule.
Okay. Well, Matcham's back in the day. That's sandier than Southwick. What other sand tracks have we had? I guess not many because we've just always gone to Lommel and Lierop and Valkenswaard. So yeah.
Okay. The question that inevitably comes up with this is we have never seen Jeffrey Hurlings come race Southwick. It's been teased a couple times. It might happen. This date might line up, and he's only raced Ironman. If you put Jeffrey Hurlings on Southwick against Jet Lawrence, Chase Sexton, the current crop, how does he do?
Yeah, he'd be fine, but it wouldn't be a cut and dried Jeffrey dominant performance like everyone thinks because it's not that sandy.
Right.
And where Jeffrey really comes alive is the way he reads for sand and flows, and neither are really relevant at Southwick because it's so stop, start that there's none of this prancing from corner to corner. If you look at Lommel, a lot of the turns are more than 90 degrees, you know, so you can really just pick your way through. Whereas Southwick is very tight turns, narrow, so like even the way that Jeffrey, Prado, the great sand riders read tracks and find lines, I feel like Southwick was horrifically one-lined for a sand track. That was my biggest takeaway. I've never seen a sand track so hard to pass on. Where Chase passed Jet, that was a good spot. Heading into the penultimate turn, there's a spot there, but for the most part, it was very follow the leader. And typically, at least for consensus in GPs, is, we're going to sand this week, going to be a great race because there's 15 million lines. And Southwick wasn't that, so...
Just on the topic of that, and this could be our last discussion point of this, do you think that if you put the GP riders on Southwick, it becomes multi-line? Like, is it simply a way of the way that the Americans majority ride the track that it develops one main line?
Shockingly narrow. I cannot believe that it's allowed to be that narrow. It shocked me to the core. I took a photo and sent it to some GP riders and said, "This is narrow, right?" And they were like, "Yeah."
What's the narrowest part of the track there, or one that you thought was like, "Oh, this is way tighter than"?
You're gonna have to get a track map out. But the turn that I was stood by was very narrow.
And you don't remember where that was on the track?
Okay, turn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, turn 7.
Okay, so like the
don't think we need to do
where Vial crashed.
What's that?
Where Vial and Beaumer crashed, kind of there?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. No, I mean, that you're right. The track is tight, for no question about it, but it's built in such a tight space. I think that probably lends to it a little bit, right? Because
it doesn't need to be that narrow, though.
Yes and no. I mean, like, there's definitely parts of the track where it's like almost side by side with each other because it's so tight.
I'll end on this, and I said this on the Vital MX post-race show this week. I have more respect for the nations teams that went to Lommel and Assen now, because it was a bigger step than I had realized.
Yeah, because this is not even close to something that would be that level of sand.
Terrible.
Oh, we actually didn't even put Assen on the list. Is Assen, you would say, is harder than Southwick?
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Because
we would have missed a lot of sand tracks, Kellen. There's been a lot.
I know there's a ton of sand. We should have ranked them all out. But anyway, let's end this.
No, we
topic.
shouldn't have done all 100 sand tracks.
No, but I'm saying we should have gotten a list of at least like the last, let's say, decade of the different sand tracks.
We've given people enough of a gauge to go off of. We don't need to.
All right.
We don't need to like do a college degree on this subject.
All right, calm down, Lewis. Let's move on from this topic because I know you didn't want it to go long. So let's get into our first.
I just knew that you would want to do a real.
I didn't drag it out this time.
Dive.
We ended early. Okay, calm down, Lewis.
For people that want to know the context behind this, Kellen texted me earlier and said, "Let's do this topic," and my immediate reply was, "Okay, but let's not drag it out because I can see this being a topic that gets dragged out to the point where everyone's like, what are we doing?"
Look at who's still talking about it. Let's get in our first non-moto topic of the day. This is not a fan topic or anything like that, but it'll be a fun one for sure because I'm curious to see what your answer is on this because you were the one that said you have a story, right, to give about this one?
I have a story.
Okay. So let's pitch it to you, Lewis Phillips. What is the most embarrassing thing that has ever happened to you?
Well, this is a world exclusive because I do believe that I've kept this story under wraps for around 8 years, 7 years, 6 years at this point. So TMZ, etc., will be all over this. It wasn't really embarrassing for me, but it's embarrassing when I tell other people.
Okay.
Because everyone laughs at me. So I am a sleepwalker. Not a terrible sleepwalker, only occasionally. Like not every night, you know, but if stuff is on my mind, which is a lot, then I do tend to like sleepwalk, sleep talk. For instance, there was one instance where Sunday night at a GP, I was asleep and I was sleep talking and I was like talking race report and like I was going, Tim Geiser won from Jeffrey, you know, like that. So that's context. So Van der Valk Eindhoven, Lommel GP to tie it to our previous. I was asleep, as you would guess from the lead-in to this story.
Okay.
And I sleepwalk out of my room. Door slam behind me. That was what woke me up. Took me around 2 minutes of like, where am I? Like looking around, like what? That left, right? What room was what? Where? What room did I come from? And then eventually I was like, okay, wait. I'm in the corridor. In my boxers. I didn't know what time it was because I didn't have, obviously, my phone or anything. The biggest issue that I had was that this is one of those fancy hotels where each corridor is key protected.
Oh, okay.
So I had to think about this because because I needed a new key to get back in my room, in my boxers, I was like, once I leave this corridor, I'm then double locked out. I'm then locked out of the corridor. So I'm in the wilderness in my underwear.
Yeah.
But I tried to find something to wedge the door open with. It was a hotel corridor. There was nothing there. So I had no choice but to send it. So out I went to the corridor. Then the elevator down. Then to the lobby, which it turned out to be 2 a.m. Surprisingly busy lobby for 2 a.m. There was a line for the front desk. So I got in line in my boxers, looking like a crazy person. And eventually one of the front desk called me over. And I sleepwalked out of my room. I need a room key. They made me stand behind a pillar in the reception. Obviously because they were not comfortable with the optics of the situation if someone was turning up to check in and like, hey, I'm Lewis. How are you? So I stood behind a pillar, waited for the man. And then he must have thought I was slightly insane because he escorted me to my room. And you're not going to do that, are you? Unless you think that the person may be a complete nut job. So then I'm stood in the elevator up to my room with the receptionist. I'm in my boxers. He's in a suit. Oh, how's your day been? Good. You know, making casual conversation. Okay. And it's kind of scarred me for life to the point where now every hotel room, I kind of lightly barricade the door, like put my suitcase in front of the door so that if I sleepwalk to the door and this has only ever happened once, but I'm so afraid of it happening again.
Yeah.
Put my suitcase in front of the door so that I can't open the door. Like I presume that if I open the door and it hits the suitcase, that would wake me up, you know? I'd be like, oh, what's that? So there we go.
Wow. Okay. I mean, I feel like I have so many questions that I'll probably ask you someday about that, but we can leave it up to that. One question I did want to ask though is, did you, like most doors in a hotel room, either have like a deadbolt or some sort of like kind of thing that blocks the door in the first place? Did you not have that? No?
I can't remember. I wasn't awake until the hallway.
Okay, but like you said that you barricade the door like a suitcase now. Can't you just not
from now on?
But can't you
From
just
now on,
not
in
like
response
deadbolt
to
it?
this incident-
Deadbolt it? Like, how are you going to undeadbolt something in your sleep?
Well,
I
I don't know. I'm
understand.
just taking precaution.
Okay.
Again, this is too far. Like, it's not that deep. I just put something in front of a door where, like, I'm like,
So
this will help.
who before right now knew about this?
Like 2 people, 3 people.
Oh, really? So you kept it under wraps pretty good then.
World exclusive, Kellen. And I just do it for the content because I know that people are going to enjoy laughing at me, so I don't care.
Honestly, that's fantastic though, Lewis. I definitely don't have something that's anywhere comparable as that. And
It's been hung out to dry then.
I apologize. I embarrass easily, so maybe this is probably part of that issue a little bit, but I kind of have what I would say like 2 ones that have been really the most embarrassing. The first one is when I was in 9th grade, and mind you, I grew up racing dirt bikes my whole life, so I should know this, but my mind just went completely blank. I was in automotive technology class in my high school, and we were working on a truck or something in this garage bay, and the teacher of the class, and I've been in the class for like a month at this point or something like that, the teacher of the class looks to me and he goes, "Hey, can you go get me a crescent wrench?" And I, like, for whatever reason,
one of these, I know where this is going.
Yeah, and for whatever reason, mine just goes like blank or something. Like, I know what a crescent wrench is, I get it. But I go and like, I'm like sifting through shit, like trying to get my brain to remember what a crescent wrench is. And I come back with just like a 9mm wrench or something like that. And in front of like the whole class, this guy is like, "You don't know what a crescent wrench is? Like, how dumb are you?" And like that whole thing. And it was definitely like, I left the class that day feeling like I don't think I should race dirt bikes. I don't think I should be involved in this sport, like on a technical level, because I can't even understand what a crescent wrench or anything is like that. But I know what it is. Like, I just blanked,
I'm surprised this has scarred you this much.
Well, it's just something that I remember because it's like one of those moments where you're just like put in front of the whole class in a dumb way kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that one was like, damn it, I'm an idiot. On a professional level, I struggle to call it my most embarrassing moment because it's really just like the dumbest moment I've ever had as a professional. And I may be outing somebody here that probably would be annoyed if I tell this story. But the first time I ever went to a supercross race as a professional was with Verb in 2013. I know Steve doesn't think that that's the reality, but it is. And there was like no rules with Verb. Like, they didn't have any reason for me being there other than I worked for them and I lived close to Anaheim 1. And Anaheim, there's no room in these press boxes. It's just crammed and jam-packed. So that year specifically, the main press box was full. They had an overflow press box in a suite. And somehow, some way, I get lumped in with Brotocross. Me and Brotocross are walking through the stadium. You know who Brotocross is, right?
Yeah.
Are just walking through the stadium trying to find this other press box. And I've never been in a press box in my life. I don't know what's going on. I'm just following him, hoping he knows. So we find this place. We go in. Denny Hartwig is there, the former press officer for Supercross.
Yep,
He turns around.
Not overly friendly.
Not overly friendly. He turns around and in front of like a bunch of other media people that are in this extra press box, he points and he goes, you, no, out, and kicks us out of the press box. And I'm like, shocked, 19 years old, freaking out, don't know what I did, what just happened or whatever. And I just followed Brotocross out of the press box and we went and sat in the nosebleed seats of the stadium. And I'm on my laptop working in like row 37 of section 504 for the first race I ever worked in the media. And so it wasn't really like, I guess, all that embarrassing. It was just like, damn, this is really my first experience working in the media. Like, this is what I'm going through. And it was kind of funny, but whatever. That's my story.
Yeah, that's on brand. I can completely believe that for Denny.
Well, for Denny and for Brotocross, because Brotocross, as you know, back then teetered the line of things that.
Oh, was that why?
Oh yeah, 100%. They didn't want him.
Okay, I thought it was just like, you're too young to be taken seriously. Get out of it.
No, it was very pointed at Brotocross, and because you're with him by association, get the hell out of the press box kind of thing.
Right, okay.
At least I think, I mean, again, I was brand new, so I didn't really know, but talking to people afterwards, they're like, yeah, Brotocross has that reputation. But he's a good guy.
Yeah.
I like Brotocross. He was fun to hang out with.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I met him this year.
yeah. Anyway, so hopefully that doesn't blow him out, but that's my my two embarrassing stories that I quickly came up with. I didn't have much time to think about it, but that's what I got. All right. Good topic. Let's get into our halfway point of the show. EVS Sports experienced the pinnacle of knee protection and injury prevention with the EVS Web Eclipse knee brace. For over 39 years, EVS has relentlessly honed their engineering expertise, consistently delivering award-winning knee braces. This legacy of excellence is embedded in every facet of the new Web Eclipse, which represents the culmination of their tireless dedication to innovation and rider safety. Use code LVK30 to save 30% off today. Whoa, we're losing Lewis over here. He's falling down. All right, let's get into our first fan topic, or our only fan topic of the day. I wanted to quickly get who this was from, so apologies, I'm going to look through my phone, but this is from @Ranham84 on Twitter, and he basically just, the topic really is just Thomas Covington discuss. Obviously, Thomas Covington raced in MX2, won some Grand Prix, was pretty good, came over to the US with Rockstar Husky, Supercross didn't go well, went back to Europe, and then retired. So I'm going to throw it to you first because you probably have a little bit more knowledge basis of Covington and his career, having been that most of his career was over there. But what do you got, Lewis, on Thomas Covington?
Weird one, because weirdly, no one really seems to remember that he exists or existed. So does that mean he's massively underrated? Probably. I mean, he was a GP winner, but recency bias is massive in this sport, and ultimately, his last year in GPs, which was his first year in 450s, was absolutely shocking, and the American adventure was absolutely shocking. But if you actually go back 4 years before that, he was an incredible MX2 rider. I really feel like America shot his confidence, and had he been able to, or had he not chose to come home, stayed in Europe, graduated from MX2 to MXGP with factory Husqvarna, he would have probably gone on to have a really good, solid career. Like, I do not believe that in that case, the results that he got in his 450 debut would have been the same. I think he would have been much more effective. But I think what we saw is that he's definitely a confidence-driven rider. And I think that really ultimately ended his career. Did I just say driver?
I think you said rider.
Oh, I meant to say confidence-driven driver. I think I said confidence-driven, and then I had driven in my head, so I said driver. I don't know.
Anyway.
A lot going on.
Yeah. My knowledge of this is actually misremembering it a little bit, and I just double-checked to fix myself, but I thought he came after the Nations thing in 17, and he actually came after 2018. So I actually just got thrown for a loop because I thought maybe the torn ACL thing that he dealt with at the Nations was what started to derail his career, but he came back and won Grand Prix in 2018. So like you said, I think you're absolutely right. It is a 100% confidence thing because in 2019, Supercross was not good at all. He chose, because he came to the US because he was age ruled out of MX2, right? Like he would have had to move up to MXGP. So he came here, and Supercross just absolutely did not go well. It wasn't, I guess, the worst thing ever, but it wasn't great. And then the confidence was just...
It was, for a factory rider, it was kind of the worst thing ever, let's be honest.
Okay, but if you say, hey, this guy's going to come over here, he's never raced Supercross in his life, I get that he's a Grand Prix winner, he's going to finish 11th in his first ever Supercross. You can't say like, that was awful.
Was he 11th?
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, because wasn't that his best result?
Yeah.
Yeah. Weird. That's been my theory all year. The naivety of round one really often leads to that being the best result for some riders in their rookie year. But yeah, still, 11th as a best result isn't good enough for a factory rider. And after that, it kind of spiraled. And if I remember right, he missed a couple of mains, like straight up, by not qualifying. It's weird because the consensus was, oh, Covington is in Europe because he can't ride Supercross. He kind of always like downplayed that to a degree.
Yeah.
But I wonder. I think looking back, he probably definitely regrets coming back to America because ultimately that was what derailed him.
Yeah.
Still regret that.
So
But but
go ahead.
although he regrets that, or probably regrets that, I understand the lure of wanting to like, okay, this has gone well. Let me see if I can do this. I understand why he was motivated for that.
Right. He in 2019 when he was here dealt with Epstein-Barr virus and missed quite a large portion of the nationals because of it. Now people come back from Epstein-Barr and are fine and stuff like that. But if I remember correctly, I think he had like lingering issues with that continued on, right? Like he never got back to full fitness, full health either. So even if the riding was reasonably okay at any point, he could never last full motos again. I thought. Am I misremembering?
That rings a bell of sorts, but I don't know. It rings a bell of sorts, but maybe you're overdoing it a little bit.
Okay.
I don't know.
But either way,
but that's a weird thing. He kind of just faded out so quickly. And let's going back to the Maximus Volan topic from last week. It's kind of similar, except although he was on track, he could have communicated his situation better, and I think it would have helped because it went downhill and he just kind of homered into the bushes, I feel.
Yeah.
And again, that's just why it's so important to keep your version of events out there. Make sure that you're at the forefront of telling your story.
His story kind of goes back to the inevitable discussion that we've had a few times already this year, which is you can never say a GP rider that comes over and races in Supercross is not going to do well. Like Vial won the title, and all these guys have come over before, Paul and stuff. We've gone through the gamut with these guys, but Covington is the one outlier of an actual American that went to GPs and came back and struggled with Supercross, and it was quite obvious. Like, is that still like in any way a catalyst for why some GP riders are concerned about it? Because they're seeing literally a guy that grew up in the fundamental system that raises Supercross talent not succeed at it.
No, because no one remembers that Covington did any of this.
Okay.
So off the radar now that I don't think anyone's even like remotely aware of what, like, yeah, it's weird. Like, I would bet that he's probably like a little bit embarrassed about how it all ended, and maybe that's why he's not like public eye and all of that stuff. I mean, he works for a jet ski championship now. So yeah, no, I don't think if you quiz anyone about Covington's career, a lot of people will misremember or not be aware of a lot of stuff.
Yeah, the communication wasn't quite there for a lot of it. That certainly didn't help the case. Do you think that that's the greatest trivia question of all time, though, of who was the open class rider for Team USA in 2017 Motocross of Nations? Who's going to remember that?
That's easy to remember.
You think?
But what was Covington's best result in Supercross? 100% most people will go, he did Supercross.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, 11th. I remember the 11th because I was like, all right, here we go. Like, he's going to figure this out. It wasn't the best.
If I remember correctly, though, en route to that 11th times qualifying heat race, it was all really bad. Like, the 11th was like, if I remember it correctly, the 11th was he did laps and took advantage of other people who did laps with crashes, and that was that.
Yeah, exactly.
I seem to remember there being a rumor that actually the off-season was going quite well, and then he had a crash in the whoops that kind of just killed his confidence, and that was it.
Yeah.
I seem to remember that tail being out there.
I don't know, man. Again, like you're right. It is one of the most obscure, has kind of disappeared careers that has existed, and like, not for nothing, it feels a little bit like Darian Sinai, because Sinai, what's Sinai doing now? You know,
Covington. I feel like Covington was more. Darian was never a factory rider, so that puts him in a different bracket.
No, but as you have mentioned with Sinai in the past, he had the potential to battle for wins and world titles if he didn't get hurt the last year, right? So
yeah, but I think because if you're never a factory rider, no matter your results, you're automatically like less regarded by the fans, you know? So like you're less memorable, let's say. I think that's just a kind of a automatic reaction to the state of your situation.
Yeah, no, I agree. Because I think like even Covington making the US team that year was a little bit like, okay, yeah, kind of a shitty situation that none of the USA guys go. Like Cole Seeley went, Zach Osborne raised his hand, obviously, but I remember that being a situation of like, this is Covington's time to shine. Like, he's going to prove himself. He's worthy of factory seats. Like, U.S. teams should be thinking about him. And we left the nations with Hunter Lawrence being the story instead. But Covington tore his ACL that day and rode, I think, still quite well. And then won GPs the next year. It's so random. Like, I don't even remember 2018 at this point, because I lumped it in with, like, he was winning GPs, he raced nations, raced Supercross, and then disappeared off the face of the earth. Basically,
you lump 2017 nations in with like the end of his career.
That's what I thought until I looked at results and saw he won a GP like three rounds before his last GP. He won a Grand Prix. So
you subconsciously, the 2017 nations was the catalyst towards the end of his career, the beginning of the end.
In my mind, yes, but I obviously am misremembering.
Yeah, from memory, 2018, he had very limited prep because of the torn ACL. Took a while to get going. I think Argentina that year, round one, he didn't score really any points at all. But then, second half of the year, he was normal Thomas Covington, which was a great rider, consistent podium guy, and consistent GP win threat. Like, he was that good. He was really that good. But no one talks about that. I kind of now want to read. But then, honestly, I feel like if I reach out to him to do an interview or like, let's talk about it, I don't think he'd say yes, because I don't think he's ready to open that wound yet.
Yeah, probably. But you're right.
I don't talk to him, so I don't know. That's just the impression I get from a million miles away.
So just to finish with this, because like you said, that 2018 season, this is what you should remember Covington as. He did start the season hurt, as you mentioned. He was 15th in Argentina, 5th at the MXGP of Europe 2 weeks later. Then he got 19th in Spain, 2nd at Trentino, 33rd in Portugal, and then 16, 12, 16, finally got healthy after a break and went 5-2, 2-2, 5-3, 2-4, 7-1, 2-3 to end the season.
Yeah, great rider.
Yeah, like always on the podium, always right there. I mean, that's what, 7 podiums in his last full season? It's pretty damn good.
It makes no sense that he then like take away the American year. It makes no sense that when he moved to 450s and GPs, he literally couldn't score points.
Yeah. So it is a weird career. That's definitely one we should reach out and
I think it's mental driven. I think it's all confidence driven. It's all mental driven. It's all driven by that. I genuinely believe that is the poster child for Thomas Covington's career, the mind.
No, that's fair. All right, let's get into our last moto topic of the day. And we were kind of like on the forefront of this discussion, and then a bunch of stuff happened, and we haven't really updated or refreshed people on what's been going on. But obviously, the WSX news was kind of wild with Adam Bailey resigning / being pushed out. We didn't know if there was a future. There was no schedule for a long time. They finally come back. They have new people in charge / helping out, and bam, we have a schedule. We have a 4-round series coming up this offseason. It starts in late October, ends early December, so it's really kind of just like a month and a half. Starts in Canada, 2 rounds in Australia, Abu Dhabi, the finale. I guess the first question I have for you, Lewis, is like, is this good news? Like, finally we have a 4-round series, or is it like, damn it, what is about to happen? This could be a shit show again.
I don't think anyone is that invested or cares enough now to really be like, damn it, is this going to be a shit show again? I think we enter with the expectation of this probably isn't going to be great, and then we'll be pleasantly surprised, which will probably lead to more positive reviews, which will infuriate the outgoing hierarchy. But I think it is just a case of, and I said this a million times, they built up WSX so much that we all had ridiculously high expectations. So then we looked down on how bad it was. Whereas now we have such horrifically low expectations that if they even run the schedule as planned, we'll be like, oh, that's an improvement. Well done. It's all perspective, really. And that's the stance I come at WSX with now. I really, really, really commend them for running the final round the Wednesday before the F1. That's really savvy. That's really smart. Makes a lot of sense. That shows me that whoever's in charge is like savvy, educated, really trying to put some thought into how to make this better. That's good. I hear that the Vancouver stadium is really small, similar to Abu Dhabi. That's not great. Most interesting to me is this, and I know nothing about this internal Australian feud, but I don't know if it's a feud rivalry between the OzX Open and WSX. Obviously, the OzX Open now has the Lawrence brothers, which is a huge coup. Yeah, so that's interesting to me, but I don't know enough, and I don't really know if we'll ever know the inner workings of it. But that is very fascinating because it goes WSX Australia, 10 days later on a Wednesday is Abu Dhabi. So there's no reason for Ken Roxon to fly all the way back to America, then all the way back to Abu Dhabi. So I would presume that Ken Roxon will just stay in Australia and race the OzX Open because it is literally a situation of why not? And that's whether that's on purpose or not, it's very strategic of OzX Open to do it that way because they've really positioned themselves in a position to take advantage of WSX's schedule and essentially beat them. Which is sad because the last thing is funny because we had WSX trying to take on America, but now we have OzX trying to take on WSX, and it's like, God, can we not just like be nice?
I know it is very weird.
End the wars.
I did not realize that was a Wednesday, the 4th of December. Why are they racing the finale on a Wednesday?
But savvy. It's the day before F1 festivities. Everyone will be in town for it. That's Thursday is media day at F1.
Good point. I hadn't realized that connection. You're absolutely right.
You have to give them props for that. That's really smart.
Yeah, that is very smart because if they ran it Saturday, don't you think they could get, the stadium's tiny. They can't get more people in there, but could they get more fanfare being on the weekend and once like qualifying's done that night, you go to Supercross?
No, because I feel like if I'm at F1 for the entire day, I want to get out. I'm not going then to another event. I'm like, yeah, I'm done.
Yeah,
let's go to a hotel and get ready for tomorrow.
That's fair. So it kind of kicks
off.
To be
honest, I don't think it's necessarily about spectators. I think it's about star power. Maybe you can get some F1 drivers there, and then that goes great on social media. What if Lewis Hamilton does a story of him at the Supercross? That's, I would imagine, the goal.
Right.
And that would be invaluable.
Yeah,
Look how much Feld desperately tried to get celebrities to Supercross.
Yeah.
WSX have positioned themselves to like basically be in a can't miss situation, although maybe a potential miss, but they've done more than the most they possibly can is what they've done.
Right. The Australian dynamic that you mentioned, so they're racing 23rd, 24th of November at HBF Park in Perth, which if you don't understand Australian geography, Perth is on the far western side of Australia. And like, it's a civilized area of Australia, but it's kind of like the middle of nowhere in terms of what Australia is because so much stuff is on the East Coast and Sydney and Melbourne and Adelaide and all those places are on the East Coast, and specifically Marvel Stadium where the OzX Open is also, it's the south, but it's on the east side of Australia. Are you, first of all, with the Australian dynamic, surprised that they're even going back there? Like, did you think that fractured relationship with Adam Bailey and that whole program would push them away from Australia? Or did you think that they'll still figure out a way to go to that region regardless?
I didn't think that they would go back, but then who knows what contacts they have now, what sponsors like demand they go back. There may be a contract that says that. I don't know. The FIM may be pushing for Australia because they've done away with the Oceania Supercross, so maybe it's an FIM requirement to tick that box in Oceania. I don't know. But I was surprised, yeah, because it's kind of going back into the lion's den.
A little bit.
And I've said this before, but I got a lot of shit when I talked about WSX from Australian fans because Australians really, or some of the fans really held WSX close to their heart because they were like, this is an Australian thing. Like, it's cool to have, like, you know?
Yeah.
I'm interested to see if Australian fans now just back away from it completely and they're like, oh, it's not Australian anymore. Who cares? Or if they still hold it dear to their heart. Like, you know, I'm really interested in that internal dynamic again with the Australian fan base. Do they just flock back to the OzX Open and be like, this is our thing? Because it is more Australian than World Supercross, or do they go, no, WSX started as Australian, so I want it to succeed?
Yeah, because now the whole thing is very European, right? Like there's European investors.
Well, I saw that your boss Alex in a story said it's still an Australian company owned by Europeans, or is an Australian. I guess that way. But I don't even know. There's one person left, so how can it still be an Australian company? I guess just where it's registered.
Must be. Yeah, I guess that would be the case with it or whatever. Do you think that, just to finally wrap this topic up though, do you think that Adam Bailey, not involved, it's these people now in charge, does it go, like, if it goes differently this year, how much different is it at all? In terms of the flow, the structure, how the races are ran? It's going to be the same.
I think it will be fine, as in they'll do the calendar. May not be the most amazing thing ever, but they will establish a building block, which they need, because easy to forget just what a shit show last year was with cancelled rounds. We had a break from July to November. You know, if they can just run 4 rounds and do the schedule, that will be step one and positive.
Right, because right now they're still thinking 450s only, I believe, right? And
250s are back.
250s are back. When did that come about?
It turns out that 450 only was an Adam Bailey driven decision, and then when Adam Bailey left, it was like scrapped.
But either way, there's still 5 teams that have pulled out officially.
Yeah, I think there's 5 teams left, and I can't remember the fifth. But Rick Ware, Urive, Hep, MCR. I can't remember what the fifth one standing is.
It's not Bud.
No, I think the French teams are out.
Bud and HSM was the other one, or whatever it's called. Something like that. Okay, so 5 teams, at least still standing. They'll each have 450 and 250 riders. So at the moment, we're going to have 10 riders in each class at least.
Well, they're going to fill the gates with locals.
And fill the gates with locals. Going to be fun in Abu Dhabi for sure. All right.
Well, to be honest, in Abu Dhabi, it would make sense to just run 10 riders on track.
Probably, yes. Especially because that track is tiny. Stadium. Yeah.
That's right.
Okay. Let's get into our final topic of the day. It's our last non-moto topic. And like we've kind of been going back and forth with a lot of these topics of like just trying to think about our like world perspective, our worldview a little bit. So this one that you brought today was what's the one thing you've always wanted to do but haven't? And do you want me to start or do you want to go first?
You can start. And I didn't. We need non-moto topics.
But you just went through and started typing ones to me, and this is one we picked.
Yeah, I went to Google and I found a list of conversation.
Yes. It's not like you're keen to know what I'm thinking, or vice versa, or whatever.
We also need me to do something outrageous, so we have another "Am I a Dick?"
Yeah, apparently you need to have more weird interactions with people.
Well, I do feel like I had something this past weekend, but I can't remember.
Oh, okay. I mean, one thing I've always wanted to do but haven't is go to like a F1 race, or honestly, like go to like things in Europe that I've always been excited about. Like, for example, lately I've been kind of a little bit more into speedway racing, and I kind of want to go see like a speedway GP in Europe. That'd be kind of cool. Or go to like Spa in Europe would be a lot of fun. And I know that's like more travel based or whatever instead of like experience or whatever, but I really have like a keen want or need to go to big events like that at least once in my life and experience it. Like, honestly, I would kind of want to go to like a World Cup match even just to like see like what it's about and experience it and live it. Same reason I would want to go to Monaco if I could go for free, not have to spend all the money to go to Monaco kind of thing. So I think for me, it's more about like doing experiences that just look super interesting from an outsider's perspective. But I don't know. What would you take from this question?
Well, prepare to go deep.
Okay.
I have 2 answers. One, I don't really have an answer, which is weird, because I don't really have these things that I want to do. Like, yeah, I would like to see an F1 race. I'd take it or leave it, though. Probably more leave it. Can't think of anything else. So, which is sad. Sad in a way.
Yeah.
So my answer would be, I just want to find mental contentment.
Okay. So you have not found it and you are looking for it.
Yes. What was it? Repeat the question to me.
What's the one thing you've always wanted to do but haven't?
So what I want to do is find peace.
Okay. Fair enough.
Myself. Fuck the rest of the world.
Yeah.
This isn't, I'm not trying to stop wars and stuff. I'm not an idiot. I'm not that smart. Just myself.
But could you not find mental contentment from experiencing things? Like if there's an experience that you want to do?
Because it's not that. I need to find self-satisfaction in what I'm doing.
Okay. So you're striving for a goal of some kind, and that's the thing you want to do but haven't. It's not a tangible
I don't
thing.
even know what the goal is. This is the thing. I'm constantly running uphill.
Yeah, but for you, I think probably the goal is to become an established leading journalist in the U.S., which you kind of already are for motocross.
Then how do you measure that?
How do I measure that?
Exactly. This is the thing. This is where I struggle because I don't like. You could say that technically I've ticked all of my boxes. I never thought I'd be able to actually be a journalist. I did GPs. Now I'm in America, which I never thought was going to happen. Part 2. Done that, and I'm still searching. So what? How do you? So then you could say like, well, Lewis, you've already done it. So what is the? How do you categorize yourself as done? When do I know I'm done? That's a deep question. Someone at the weekend said I was a head case, and this is why.
Maybe you'll be done after you win AMA Media Member of the Year. How about that?
I think I'll be done when I walk into an American pits and I feel like I've got it. And I don't know what that means exactly.
Well, what about this? And like on a similar vein of that, would you feel done if you can walk into the paddock under basically any tent and people know who you are and actually are vested in an interesting conversation with you?
No, because I kind of feel like I'm already there.
Really? You think you can walk under? You can walk under Mad Parts Kawasaki and everyone's like, Lewis, all right, yeah. Like,
I'm gonna get in trouble with conversation like that because that's not really on the list.
I'm just saying that's something you can strive for, right? Like you can strive for being a recognizable industry face in the sport.
I want to be the very best that I can be, but I do not know what that actually looks like. So I don't know what I'm actually striving for. But anyway, that's the answer to the question.
Okay, yeah, that's fair enough. With
but
the top,
like Kellen and said, I want to go to the beach, but I went deep.
You did go deep. If you do take this question literally of something you want to do, and it's like an experience, do you have anything that's on your list, or do you not?
Oh,
doesn't matter.
Like I say, I don't. Oh, my mind is blank.
Mind is blank.
Anaheim 1 again next year.
Anaheim again next year. Okay,
that's it. Like, I'm not even being funny. That's genuinely it. Like, I wish there was a way to know that you were in the good old days before you've actually left them.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you'll hang on to that one for sure.
That's where I'm at. I think one day I'll be like, I had done it. I was there. I was searching when I was looking for something that I'd already found. That's what I think. That's the penny that will drop one day, I think. And the fact that I am conscious enough to know that is bizarre that I can't accept that, even though I'm smart enough to actually say that. You know?
No,
because if I say that, it means I'm aware.
It's
somehow that's not enough.
It's very good self-reflection, and I think that therapy with Lewis has gone quite well today.
Honestly deep. Honestly, I may become a therapist.
Okay, so that's
your next. Either would take me seriously.
That's your next thing to strive for, though. Maybe you could become a mental therapist or coach for all the riders in this industry, because that's all anyone talks about anymore. Is I had mental hurdles I had to get through. I had to speak to people about it, all this stuff like that. You could be the guy. You could be the soundboard.
Well, watch this space.
Watch this space. You could go back to school and become a psychologist.
VitalMindset.com.
What is it?
VitalMindset.com.
VitalMindset.com. So it'd be VitalMS.com.
Sure.
Okay.
That sounds like, yeah, sure. We'll work on that. Working title.
Yeah, that's maybe Vital MS isn't the good one. All right. No, that's good though. That's a good way of thinking about your own life and your own careers, that you have goals to strive for. That's what people want the most out of life. All right. Fun show today, Lewis. We just are tipping at the hour point. Any final thoughts? Are you excited for Redbud? 4th of July, Independence Day. You going to wave the American flag this weekend?
I'm not going.
Oh, that's right. You're not going. So what do you, wait, so are you going to stay at Max's house while he goes?
A lot of ins and outs, Kellen.
So you're just going to be the caretaker and then watch him from his couch?
Lots of ins and outs, Kellen. Lots of ins and outs.
But anyway, so it is, I think, the first time you're going to be here for American Independence Day. Are you?
Yep, first time.
Are you going to wave the flag? Are you going to go out and shoot fireworks off? None of that?
I don't have a flag.
There's no. Surely there's a flag in your neighborhood somewhere there.
Oh, I'll work on it, Kellen. Lots of ins and outs. Lots of ins and outs.
Did you know, though, that like Independence Day in the U.S. is like people shoot fireworks off and all that kind of thing?
Yes, I am aware of the basic concept.
Okay, but you understand then that means you have to grill, you got to have hot dogs, watermelon, you got to go swimming, like it's a whole thing.
Yeah, I'm out.
Okay, so we'll have British Independence Day in a couple weeks, right?
I'll just chill.
Then we'll have sausage rolls, bangers and mash, beans for breakfast on toast.
Just
What?
chill.
Huh?
July the 4th and chill. There's no need to like set a list of things to do. Got to eat a hot dog. Like, nah, just chill.
Anyway, so yeah, we're gonna watch from the couch this weekend and have interesting. Maybe we should have like a live LVK podcast from the couch.
I don't think you can pay me enough for that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I tried.
You tried.
Sad. All right, that's been our show. LVK More Than Moto, brought to you by EVS Sports, Namura, and Racetech. Thanks, guys, so much for backing the show and watching again this week. We'll be back after Redbud to discuss things from Redbud and head into the Millville weekend of fun. And we'll see you guys then. So long for now.